Now, you've seen his objections, and you quite rightly have seen that there's a logic to them. Sima sees a new world emerging from the new laws, and a very dangerous one. The service exemption is a cash tax, and that means that people have to go to market and they have to become integrated into marketing systems. The crop loans law forces people to borrow, and if there's a bad year, they will fall into arrears, and the government will lose its money as well. They'll lose their homes and become rootless. The militia system has been teaching people how to fight, which is in effect teaching them how to rebel. The government is using up its granary reserves. The people are rootless. They no longer are paying attention to farming. There's been a bad year. They know how to fight. There'll be rebels, and the government lacks the means to suppress rebellions because its militia system has given up on maintaining local police. Moreover, he faults Wang personally. He says this man was so totally devoted to having it his way, thinking everyone had to be just like him and think just like him, that he would expel anyone from the government for disagreeing with him, as it happened to Sima Guang. There is much to be said for Sima Guang's objections. Wang Anshi's exemption tax did free the wealthy to pursue other interests, and it did tax more people. And it's true, it did require that they market goods to get cash to pay the tax. But that was part of a changing economy. And that's a kind of change that Sima Guang did not want to see. He saw government really as having a zero-sum game. If government got more money, then it followed for him that the people had less. And there's a point at which he says to the emperor, he says, this makes no sense. It's obvious that Sima Guang and Wang Anshi disagreed profoundly about what the role of government should be. But in many ways, they shared a belief that government determined what happened in society, and government determined what happened to government and to the dynasty. Each sought to persuade others, to teach them how to think, how to learn like them. Sima Guang writes a history book to both teach the emperor but teach the literati. Wang Anshi does commentaries on the classics, even his own dictionary to be used in schools. For Wang Anshi, the government is something that's positive. It can accomplish things, it can transform people's lives. Right? It's not a zero-sum game. At one point, Sima Guang says, what is this notion of managing wealth and the idea that we can create more wealth? That's impossible. The amount of wealth in the world is directly proportionate to the number of people farming in the world. And that was not necessarily true. Each sought in his own way to accomplish something, but Wang Anshi has an expansive vision, and Sima Guang has a very limiting one. For Sima Guang, the role of government is to maintain stability, to avoid making changes. And he sees, in fact, that the real source of instability in society comes from officials not doing what they're supposed to do, not knowing what the principles of good government are. The role of the government is not to redistribute wealth. It's rather to balance different interests in such a way that no one changes their role in society. And he goes on at considerable length to defend the role of rich families in local society.